Want to do Oktoberfest right this year? Make this authentic, German, luscious beef dish with gravy, Sauerbraten. Welcome to Lawyer in the Kitchen. Today we're going to make a perfect dish for Oktoberfest, Sauerbraten. This is a fantastic dish, and I want to tell you, I started this a week ago, and we're going to get to how we start the marinade because almost all of the ingredients, except for these last four things, actually five because we've got flour to thicken it up a little bit. All of this is put in this pot, in this Dutch oven, literally 1 week ago. And when I take the lid off of this, I want you to smell this. I mean, not that you can, but have a look at this. Can you smell this? Oh, it's got red wine, it's got garlic, it's got carrots, it's got onions, bay leaves. There's a ton of stuff in here. And it's been sitting in this. I did put some plastic wrap over the top so to make sure it was nice and sealed. But this has been sealed now for literally 7 full days. And we're going to start the Sauerbraten. I'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and if you have a comment to make, I would appreciate you making it, and I will respond to that. Let's go back 1 week from today and see how we make the marinade. Okay, we're ready to do our marinade. There's a lot of stuff in here, but it's going to be super good, and it's going to marinate for at least a week. We have 2 large onions chopped, 2 large carrots diced, 3 bay leaves fresh from the garden. We have 3 sprigs of thyme from the garden. We have some rosemary from the garden, so it's nice and fresh. I've got 1 teaspoon of sugar, 3 teaspoons of salt, 6 cloves, whole cloves, 10 juniper berries, and the equivalent of 10, these are small peppercorns, so this is about the equivalent of 10 peppercorns, and 1 leek, 2.5 cups of wine, and 1 cup of red wine vinegar. All right, so I'm going to chop this up pretty well. All right, so this is nice and chopped. We're ready to crack the juniper berries and the peppercorns. I'm going to roll over it because we're not trying to grind them down. We're just trying to crack them. So we'll get these popped down. I'm going to go ahead and put my leeks in here. That's better than normal. I mean, there's less actually on the floor this time. So 2.5 cups of red wine. I'm using a Cabernet. And as I've always said, if you wouldn't drink it, don't cook with it. Like I came up with that. I think Julia Child may have said that first. Okay, full cup of red wine vinegar. And it's normally made from, relatively rough, tough pieces of meat. So it breaks down, and that's kind of the purpose of doing it. And that's why Julius Caesar used to send this stuff to beef all the way to Cologne in wine barrels, because it was to make this meat edible, delicious. Our cracked juniper berries and our peppercorns, that's going in. 2 large yellow onions, 2 large carrots, 3 fresh bay leaves. I've been waiting to have a bay leaf tree for how long? How long have we talked about? I can't find fresh bay leaves. Now I can, and I think this thing's going to grow just fine. And I'll tell you what, it smells so good. Look at those things, all right? 2 sprigs of rosemary, fresh. 3 or 4 sprigs of thyme, fresh. 6 cloves, whole, not cracked. 3 teaspoons of salt, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. And we want minced garlic. So we're going to bring this to a boil, and we're going to simmer it for 10 minutes. This is simmered for 10 full minutes, and I'm going to turn the heat off completely. I've got 3 cups of ice, which should be, about 2.5 cups of water. And that'll help this cool down. But we want this liquid completely cool before we put the meat in there. Plenty cool, it's not going to cook the meat. It's just going to marinate. And this is going to cover it. It's going to be great. We're going to cook this in 7 days. I'll see you a week from now. Sauerbraten, which means sour roast. S-A-U-E-R in German means sour or pickled, and the braten means roast meat. This dish goes back, some say, all the way to the time of Julius Caesar in the 1st century BC, when he would send beef marinated in wine to Cologne, Germany. In the 9th century, Charlemagne is considered to have made this somewhat popular by using leftover roasted meat with all of the wine and the ingredients that we're going to have in this dish. But the true popularizer of Sauerbraten is probably Albertus Magnus, or Saint Albert the Great, from Cologne, Germany. And he made this dish popular in the 1200s or the 13th century. This dish was made mostly back then out of horse meat. Obviously that practice has long gone. Today it's made with beef, venison, or lamb. It's one of Germany's official national dishes. Traditionally it's made with a beef rump roast, beef eye of round, bottom round, or you can use what I'm doing today and use a chuck roast. Now we're back. A week has taken place. This is ready. We only add 4 ingredients now. We're going to add 4 slices of bacon that I'm going to cut up. We're going to add 3 ounces of ginger snap cookies. We're going to add a 1/4 cup of raisins and 1 tablespoon of fresh honey. We're going to pull the meat out, and we're going to dry it off really well so that it'll brown nicely. Get all the vegetables off of it. I tell you what, this thing I think is going to be fantastic. And sometimes it's just better to just pick it up with your hand. We want to get all the vegetables off of it. We're going to save those. We're going to use those. And then we're going to dry this off. All right, so I'm going to use this strainer. You can use anything. It works. I'm using a bigger pot because otherwise I'm going to dump it all over the place. So I'm going to clean this out. The bay leaves, I'm going to pull the bay leaves and the rosemary. And I'm going to put in a couple tablespoons of oil. And I'm using grapeseed oil because I like grapeseed oil. Okay, we want it super dry because it will brown much better. Man, that smells good. It's going to take about 2 to 3 hours to cook this thing, to braise it nice and to get it nice and tender. And I am going to go ahead and add some salt and pepper. That's the sound we want. I'm going to dry it off some more. And I'm going to turn the heat down. And while I've got it there, I'm going to go ahead and put salt and pepper on this side. Okay, this is cooked about 5 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and flip it. And I'm going to get a little bit browner than that, but it's starting to brown nicely. We had about 5 minutes on each side. Ah, look at that. Isn't that nice? That looks great. I'm going to get rid of all but about 2 tablespoons of the grease and the oil. Now we're going to put the vegetables back in, but not the juice. And then we're going to put the bacon in. 5-7 minutes on this. Now it's time to add in the flour. And then we're going to cook that flour just a couple of minutes because we want it, this is actually going to make the roux so that the gravy will thicken up. But you want to cook this flour just a little bit so that it takes that flour taste out of it. In a couple minutes is fine. All right, now it's time to put the juice back in. And that's wine, red wine vinegar. Make sure we got everything in there. It's pretty well nice. It's good. Now we're going to put the raisins in and stir that around. Now I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of honey. If I can get it all out, this may take a while. Now we're going to put the ginger snaps. Now you could crush these, put them in a bag and beat them up with a rolling pin. I think they're going to be pretty well dispersed after they cook in this liquid for 2 to 4 hours. Okay, this has been cooking for plenty of time. This is all well melded. It's thickened up. So it's time to put the meat in, or the meat back in, and all the juices. That's looking good. And I'm going to go make sure it's covered up. So I'm going to put it on the stove now. I've got it simmered on low with the lid on. It's been about 5 minutes. This is simmering nicely. We're just going to leave it alone and let it go right there. And that's plenty for a simmer right there. 2 hours, we'll check. If it's nice and tender, we'll try it then. If not, we'll cook another hour. Yeah, it's tender. It is absolutely tender. Look at that. That thing is nice. Okay. We got some stuck on the bottom. It's fine. All right, let's pull this out. Now I am going to make that a little thicker. We're going to make this gravy. So we're making this super cold water with flour. So it's a flour slurry. This is going to make a mess, I'm sure. So I've got this gravy heating up nicely. I don't want to make it too thick, but it's got to be thicker. It's too watery right now. Okay, it's just so we're going to take a little bit of this at a time until we get it where we want it. It's already thickening there. See, it's already starting. Yeah, it's still a little. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, it's time to plate this thing. I'm going to cut this up and put it on the plate. Oh, that is tender. It's falling apart tender. You almost can't slice it. It's so tender. Oh, look at that. Wait till you taste this. I can't wait for you to taste this gravy. Let's have some braised cabbage with this. By the way, I've got a video for that. And to make this a little bit of the keto friendly, I've got some mashed cauliflower. It's been in the oven. Look at this stuff. This is, instead of mashed potatoes, that is good stuff right there. And I have a video on this, so you got to check out my mashed cauliflower. Let's try this. I know the gravy's fantastic already. That's good. I like a little more gravy on it. That's it. I'm happy with this. I'm very happy with this. Listen, thanks for watching. I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe. If you comment, I'll respond to you. And I'll see you next time on Lawyer in the Kitchen.